Hey everyone. Okay, so right from the jump, the chapter sets the stakes into motion that everything that happens in Universe Zero will rewrite the timeline of events for all other universes and become the new continuity or new reality. Like for example, by the end of this, every the entire story as we know it will likely change in some way or another. Which, yeah, if you were to ask me the best way to set the stakes for the final arc of this series, this is definitely the way to do it. Now, how Mashima follows through with this concept in the final moments of the series is the biggest question, but for now, it's a really great way to set the mood going to this arc, because I'm not going to lie, upon learning all of this, the atmosphere of the chapter did a complete 180 for me, and that feeling of going on an exciting adventure, while still there, also kind of turned into a more somber and bittersweet, for the obvious reason that this is the final stretch of the journey, but also that there really doesn't feel like an absolute guarantee that everyone is going to make it out as alive. Like, lives are going to be lost by the end of this journey. I felt that especially in the final moments of the chapter where Shiki said, "We're family. I know we'll find each other again." Like, simple stuff like that really made me think that, yeah, even if you properly reunite, how long will that last before Mashima decides to throw all of you, and us as the reader, into the emotional meat grinder? Because one thing I realized as I was writing this is that if Universe Zero operates in the way that Rachel explained, then there's a possibility we might end up with a scenario that sees a reunion between Ivory, Hermit, Witch, and Valkyrie. And however Mashima chooses to play this, the journey through Universe Zero might be a way to bring Valkyrie and maybe Witch back alive. That's a possibility. But the other way that could go is that if Mashima is operating on George Lucas's Star Wars logic, where it's poetry, it rhymes, then it's likely that Valkyrie and Witch are still going to die. Are still destined to die. Like in some way or another, that they're still going to die in this arc, along with whoever else probably dies as well. And yeah, but I imagine at the very least he's planning to give us some sort of a reunion with the Shining Stars at the very least. Especially if he's bringing in the whole idea of like trying to like save the Dark Stars as well. I think it's likely we'll see all four of them again. Now, from here, obviously one of the other major things to talk about is that we finally get the reveal of what Ethereum is, which is Rebecca's B-Cube. And I'm not going to lie, this reveal was slightly underwhelming, and for me, and just to be clear, I don't hate it, as Ethereum being Rebecca's B-Cube is a great way to tie everything together that's been set up into a nice little bow, and show that, for as corny as it is to say, that B-Cube is what has tied all these characters together and formed their bonds of friendship. But I feel there's, like, it's representative that Rebecca is sort of the heart of this story. She's what's tied everyone together. But I feel there's a slight but at the same time, I feel there's a slight missed opportunity for a great emotional and atmospheric scene if we did find out that, yeah, future Rebecca's body is the thing powering Agent Zero. Like, just from an imagery standpoint, it would have been amazing to have a silent moment of Rebecca staring back at herself within the crystal and have, like, that moment of catharsis and realization that, yeah, she's been the one who's made the journey up to this point possible. And those feelings, I think, are still there to some extent, but with the Beekeeper reveal, I think the impact would have been more powerful had it been, like, future Rebecca herself. But again, I'm not too mad at it either, as Hermit does come up with a clever explanation for this, where the B-Cube has become the final relic to find Mother as well. Like, it's a rather nice way of tying up a plot thread that for a while now I thought Mashima had abandoned. But honestly, looking back, I should have realized that the B-Cube was probably going to be the final relic. Also, seeing the 4-star shine activation of the vault made up for it as well, as just the whole sequence in itself just had this epic feel and build up of seeing this long-awaited vault finally be opened for the first time in the series. Like, it's been a mystery that's been long building up, and now to see it actually take effect, it's really exciting. And honestly, there's a lot about this chapter that makes me wonder if and when the anime gets to this point, like, how much more emotional will it be? How how much more will the enemy like build upon these events and all that kind of thing. That's kind of like my question, I guess. Beyond that, though, the chapter also brings up the very real possibility of coming into, again, it brings up the very real possibility of coming into conflict with the Dark Stars and Ziggy, which, again, it's going to be interesting to see how Mashima plays that particular aspect of the arc, and specifically how he's going to take the conflict, how he's going to make the conflict feel fresh while still retreading much of what we've obviously seen before. Like, with obviously from what we've seen when it comes to how Mashima handles these kind of scenarios of repeating a conflict, obviously there's going to be differences. So it's going to be interesting to see with us going to Universe Zero, what are going to be the biggest differences between the conflict with Ziggy that we had in the previous arc up to, but how is it going to differ from the conflict with him in this final arc? But that's going to be and what's going to be the biggest draw of this encounter? Is he going to that he's going to like use to really draw us in, like and it's going to be interesting as how he's going to use this as an opportunity for Herman and Ivory to unlock their, like, obviously the big thing is he's going to use this as an opportunity for Herman and Ivory to unlock their forgotten memories and past, and to do the same for the Dark Stars as well. But again, it'll be even more interesting to see how he's going to utilize Ziggy's role in this arc now that we know it's the Eden's One that's manipulating him. Like, one little theory I have, honestly, is I imagine it's going to be a thing where Shiki tries to convince him of what's really going on or what's happened to him, and I'll bet this is where the whole thing with Ziggy and Shiki becoming one at the end of the last arc is going to really come into play. Like, somehow that merging of the two identities of Shiki is what's going to make freeing Ziggy from the grip of Eden's One possible. Like, I feel like the fact that the future Ziggy and the future Shiki and the Shiki we know became one, I feel it's going to be how they're going to free Universe Zero's version of Ziggy. It will also be interesting to see, again, how Hermit and Ivory, probably mostly Hermit, plan to jog the forgotten memories of the Dark Stars, and if my theory is right at the beginning of this review, turns out to be true, then we will see a reunion with Witch and Valkyrie. It'll be even more interesting to see how that plays in the dynamic of trying to recover the lost memories of both the Dark Stars and the Shining Stars. Like, there's a whole bunch, with this arc right now, Mashima has already opened up Pandora's box of possibilities, and I'm here for all of it. Which, on that note, and I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but we do need an explanation for just what the hell is going on with Eden's One, and I'm sticking with my first theory that Eden's One was feeding off Ziggy's ether gear, and that's what gave it sentience. But I'll wait for a while longer to see how he plays this. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Analyst Control. Be sure to notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share it around, guys. Dark Knight of Night signing off. Later, everyone.